Peace everyone, and welcome back to the Drawing Journal. This week is going to be a little bit different based on some of the questions that I got. So the first question that I had was how I have everything set up here, what my studio's like, and things like that. And the other question is what the future setup is going to be after I move to Poland next month. And also, I just got a new pack of Luminance pencils, and so I wanted to open them up for the Drawing Journal. I haven't opened them yet. I've had them for like 4 days now, and it's been driving me nuts. I've been wanting to open these things up ever since I took them out of the box. Super excited about it. Anyway, so I'm going to start off by showing you some of the things that I use. Pretty much all the things that I use, actually. So let's go have a look. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is open up this. So let's go ahead and do that. The smell of new art supplies. Information pamphlet. This is a nicely constructed box. Pencils are well protected. Oh gosh, I'm so excited for these pencils. These are pretty much the best colored pencils that exist. There's probably a little debate on whether or not polychromos or Luminance pencils are the best, but based on what I've read and what I've seen these pencils do versus polychromos, I settled on these ones for a reason. There's a bit more color saturation with fewer layers because they're still wax-based pencils as opposed to the oil-based polychromos. So that's why I went with these. They're so well constructed. Just holding onto the pencil, you know these pencils are worth what you pay for. So I'm extremely excited for these. So this is going to be a new addition to the array of art supplies that I use. So yeah. So there's the first thing. Haven't used them yet, but I have plans for these. Alright, so the next thing that where do I start? Let's just do all the supplies and then I'll do the paper next. So I've already shown these off before. These are my Letraset Tria markers. I did a full review of these, I don't know, a month ago or something like that. But I really love these markers. I tried one other previous set of markers called Fine Color, and they were awful. But these ones were definitely worth buying. And I do have a small, teeny tiny set of Copic markers, but these ones outperformed the Copics, so I don't even use the Copic markers anymore. And I just recently finished doing a portrait with these, and yeah, I actually did 2 videos for that. Is going to be coming out a week or so, but yeah, so that's the other thing that I use. And then of course the previous colored pencils that I used was just this pack of 72 by Prismacolor. These pencils have lasted 2 years. So I've been working with colored pencils for 2 years now, and these pencils have just been fantastic. I mean, if you're looking to get into colored pencils, but you don't want to like spend as much as I just spent on the Luminance pencils, or even the polychromos, this pack of 72, you can learn a lot from this. All of the pieces that I've done so far using colored pencils was using this pack here. I never replaced the pencil in 2 years. So I think maybe I bought a white, but I haven't used it yet. So I haven't used a single pencil all the way from this pack in 2 years, and I've done quite a bit. I'm almost up to 180 videos, so say half of those are done in colored pencils. They lasted a really long time. The only downside to these is sharpening them can kind of get annoying. And if you used them for a long time, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The other addition that I made not too long ago was the Faber-Castell watercolor pencils, and these things are so much fun to use. The color saturation for these is fantastic. They lay down a little strange. You don't want to get them. You don't want to lay them down on wet paper because it's awful. But once you use them for a little bit, you really do learn to love these. They're very unique, and one of the things that I like about them is they're fast. Like if I just want to do like a sketch and nothing that's going to take me hours and hours, I can use these and I can get something colored fairly quickly, and it's a lot of fun. All right, so talk a little bit about the papers that I use and the papers I don't like to use anymore. I'll just start off with this one. This is the Archie's watercolor paper, and I had high hopes for this because a lot of people really liked Archie's paper, and maybe with traditional watercolors it's really great, but I don't use traditional watercolors. A lot of people really like to use hot press watercolor paper when they do colored pencil work, and unfortunately I disagree with anybody that says this is good for pencil. It was just not my cup of tea. Certainly no good for ink. That's the thing. If you're going to use ink or markers with colored pencil, then don't get this paper. With markers, this paper is absolutely horrible with markers. Terrible bleeding, and it dries out your markers super fast because it's so absorbent. And then with ink, you get terrible feathering with ink because it also absorbs the ink. And no matter how crisp you try to get the line, even if you use a ruler on this paper with ink, it's just a lost cause. You're going to get fuzzy lines. So I don't use this paper anymore. It only had like 12 pieces in it anyway, but it was super expensive for 12 pieces. And yeah, so if you're doing multimedia which incorporates ink or marker, then this paper's no good. In contrast to that paper, I have this paper. This is the Strathmore Smooth Bristol 300 series paper. This is my favorite paper. I just recently found this paper, or tried it out for the first time, like maybe a month ago. This is by far my favorite paper. I plan on getting it in larger sizes so that I can do bigger pieces. But if you're mixing markers, ink, and colored pencil, I can honestly say I don't think there's a better paper than this if you're doing the mixed median work with markers or colored pencils. Even if you're just using markers and ink, I would say this paper is one of the best. It very, very minimal feathering with markers, and if you used markers even a little bit, then you know feathering can be a terrible, terrible issue. But with this, you don't have that terrible feathering look that you get with other papers. So this is definitely my favorite paper for sure. This might seem recognizable. This is the sketchbook that I use for my normal drawing journals where, I actually draw. So if you've watched any of my drawing journals previously, then this one is very familiar. I really like this sketchbook. As you can see, I have both sizes. I really like the toned tan paper. if you've never worked on colored paper like gray or tan or something like that, just do it. Trust me. You know, this sketchbook I think was like $10 or something like that. Go out and buy it. Grab a white pencil and do something with it. You know, draw something like an eye. Draw something like an eye, and toned paper will change your life. I promise you. And then with the larger size, this is what I use for my portraits. This is a portrait I finished last week, and then yeah, so I have my other portraits in here also. And I really like the toned paper. One of my favorite, especially for portraits. And actually, I don't have much to say about this paper. Not the best for markers and ink still. I got this paper, it's a vellum finish. I really like Stonehenge paper. They make great paper. I think this would be perfect for colored pencils. In fact, I need to do something on one of these pieces of paper because I haven't used it yet. But for colored pencils, I think it's great. Markers and ink, it's mediocre. It's not nearly as good as the Bristol Smooth. What else? Oh goodness, this takes me back. So this is the first sketchbook that I got when I started my channel, and so it has like the first weekly drawings in it. And this is the crappiest sketchbook I've ever owned. This is the Strathmore Sketch 400 series, and honestly, I would not use this paper if it was the last piece of paper that I had. I kind of am disappointed in myself for thinking that paper didn't really matter, but this paper is just so mediocre that I kind of regret doing all the pieces that I did on this paper, especially this one here. Especially this one. I wish that this was on better paper because it would be just that much better. But yeah, if you're literally sketching but not doing anything serious, then this paper's fine. But other than that, it kind of gets folded up here on the edge when you flip it back and forth. It's annoying. Okay, it's annoying. And the last thing, this paper here, this is my favorite watercolor paper that I use with my watercolor pencils because it also does really well with ink. It's not as smooth as I would normally want to work with, but working with watercolors, it has a really nice uniform texture, and I think it looks really great with watercolors. And the reason I went with this paper is because it also doesn't feather my ink when I want to add ink to my work. So I really like this paper. I haven't used regular colored pencils on it though. Alright, so that's pretty much it for all the stuff that I use for my setup. Now, for my setup, the camera that I'm recording with right now is a Canon 70D, and I just recently got this camera. I used to shoot with a Nikon D5300, but this camera is better, and this camera is better, no doubt. And then the lens that I'm using is a Sigma 18-35 art lens. This is that lens right there. I pretty much don't need any other lens. It's the best. And then what else? I also use Hero 3 GoPro, and this is the camera that you see shooting down. The reason I use this camera is because I can have it like 30 centimeters away. I can have it just above my work like this, and it lets me see my work clearly without having some camera in the way, and it also doesn't get like the top of my head. You sometimes see in people's drawing and painting videos that like their head comes into the scene, and I don't have that problem when I'm shooting with this. And then the GoPro Studio that I use to edit the footage from this allows me to remove the fisheye and do some like minor tweaks of the video before I use Final Cut Pro. I use Final Cut Pro to do my final editing, and this, if you don't know what this is my computer. This is a Mac Mini. I bought it a couple years ago. Best computer I've ever owned. And I have upgraded RAM in that, and that's like my tools. But so as you can see, my setup here, hard surface, so you would think that using this table would be fine, but I always like to draw on glass because it's very, very smooth, and that protects you when you're coloring or drawing, that you don't accidentally replicate the texture underneath the paper. If you're using really thick paper, then it's not all that important, but yeah, I always draw on a very hard, smooth surface so that I get no texture or anything. If I were to draw on this table, it has a bunch of scratches and stuff. Those scratches would show up in work if I was shading real lightly or something. So yeah, that's one of the things I do. In the past, I did do a review on these lights here that I have, that I use. Turn them on, yeah. And the reason that I have the lights like this is because when I have my camera mounted here, the light is underneath, so it reduces all the shadows that you would normally have. And I turn off all these overhead lights so that I absolutely have no shadows cast down for my camera mount. So now I'm going to show you my camera mount and show you how I have this all set up. All right, this is going to be kind of difficult, but if you look up here, this is my camera mount. And I'll show you what it looks like here. So you can see that I have this little pin here, and this is my GoPro mount here. And basically I have a little hook up here that it hangs off of, and that, that keeps it from coming down. And then also over here, I just have a door hinge that I screwed up here. And this is like a piece of an old chair. Like, I totally bootlegged this together. It's totally random. All right, so let me swing this down so that you can see exactly what it looks like. This camera's really heavy to hold, so forgive me for that. So I undo the pin over here, and then I have it so that it swings down like this. So it just swings like this, and then I have my camera here. Usually I don't use the waterproof housing. I have a different housing for it. I use this frame housing here, and this allows me to keep it plugged in. So I just put it on here like this. And I normally have it about that far, and then this lets me plug it in so that I don't have to worry about charging it. So that is how I have everything set up. So now on to the question as far as how I'm going to have things set up when I move to Poland. I'm going to try to keep this general setup in the way that I have things mounted, the way that I have my lights positioned and all that. But really, the one major thing I am going to change is I'm going to get a drafting table when I get there. I'm going to get rid of this old table. I've had this table for over a decade now, so I think it's time to retire it. But I'm going to get a drafting table and figure it out from there. Really, I don't really have any plans set in stone, or I kind of have an idea of how I'm going to have it set up, and that's pretty much all I got at the moment. But once I get there, I'll be sure to show everybody. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and stop this video. I've got some other things I'm going to work on, and then I will see you all next week. Take care. Peace.